Hello and welcome to a new video, and let's talk today about one of my most favorite functions of all time, and I will start with a quote, and I've quoted myself here. So you know probably VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, but those functions are no longer needed because with the new XLOOKUP function you can everything solve that was solvable with VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, but with XLOOKUP even more is possible. And I hope that with this video today you will learn why XLOOKUP is so cool and you should never use VLOOKUP again. I have to admit I've used VLOOKUP I think once in the last 4 years. Yeah, it was a case where it was appropriate to use VLOOKUP and it was time sensitive, and using VLOOKUP saved me there a few split seconds. So there it was appropriate, but otherwise I've never used VLOOKUP or HLOOKUP else in the last 4 years. So I've here also added a few memes. And yeah, you should probably be ashamed if you're still using VLOOKUP and you know better about XLOOKUP. Also here, if you're older, you will be possibly also using index match. Index match can be also quite handy because it's, for example, used in the for easy to use for two-dimensional lookups. I've also a video on my channel about two-dimensional lookups. But yeah, index match is cool. VLOOKUP is old, but XLOOKUP is there to rule them all, or in most cases. Also here, never use copy paste, but also not VLOOKUP, not index match, use XLOOKUP. That's the way to go. And here I think it's the last one from the Thor movie there. Ragnarok, I think. So, lookup functions. There are only two I will teach here today, and a few opening remarks. To input a search criteria, when you input text, this text should be in quotation marks, but only if you hardcode them into the formula, not if you have a reference to a cell, then the text there could also be without quotation marks. Numbers will be inputted directly as numbers. Yeah, and if you want to have like greater or equal or something like this, you can do this with like the search criteria. The XLOOKUP function and the XMATCH functions have optional criteria you can use then when you want to have a greater than or something. But unequal, unfortunately, doesn't work with XLOOKUP or XMATCH. There are possibilities, but not taught here. So, what does XLOOKUP do? XLOOKUP searches in a range and then results the element that corresponds to the first match found. Sounds unuseful, but you will use XLOOKUP, or the lookup functions in general are one of the most used functions in Excel at all. Full stop. So, what does this function do? If you want, for example, you have here a table with a date and the weekday there, and you want to filter for and you want to find out the weekday for a certain date. Yeah, we've learned before how we can do that, but you don't know that function, but you have this table here. Then you could search for this function here, for this date here, search in that column, and the XLOOKUP function then, when you write it properly, will hand out you the value so it will first search here in this column, and if it found that value in those comments, only the first appearance, the XLOOKUP function can only output one single value in one single cell. So if you found this value here, then it will hand out the value next to it, for example. So the result then will be Tuesday. And how does this function do that? You need to give this function a lookup value. This could either be text written in quotation marks, a reference to a cell, or a number. Then you need a lookup array where this lookup value should be found, and then return array. There are also a few additional criteria, a few optional criteria. For example, here match mode or search mode. And you see this exemplary function here. So like it will search the value from D2, so our date, in column A, and hands out if it will find those value in column A, it will hand out the value in the same row from column B. The XMATCH function works quite the same, or basically the same. It searches a range and returns the position of this value if it's found, so also the first match. But instead of a value out of a different range, it will hands out the number, the row number or column number this match is found. So for example, if we want to find those value in row A and column A, so this date here, then it will hand out the row number here because we've selected the whole row, and the sixth match is this match we want to find here. So, and as a pro tip, works for both formulas, so for XLOOKUP and XMATCH, you can search for multiple criteria at the same time. And how do you need to do that? You need to use the and sign here in between, for example, for the lookup function, for the lookup value to combine them, and the lookup arrays to combine them. And for the XMATCH function, also lookup value combined and lookup array combined. So you see it here, we want to search for USA and airline in, for example, column B where the country is in, and column D where the industry is in, for example, and hand out then, if both criteria are met, the value out in this row out of column A. And as we said before, this is a repetition from the basic course. Your comparison and return matrices should be the same size, otherwise you will have an error. So the return array and the search array or the lookup array for the XLOOKUP function should be the same size. So, and before we are coming to the exercise, I will show you this function in Excel. So here we have a list of companies. You could make that list larger and larger. You will see that in this exercise. And you want to have the, for example, market value of Amazon. So we could search then here, oh, what is Amazon? Here, copy that inside here. Bad. Don't do that way. Lookup instead for the lookup value, and this time the name of in this case the name of the company, so Amazon. In the lookup array, so this is the column we want to search for Amazon. So the company name, select this column, and return array should be the market value, so select this column. And you see it's this number. You could also look for the name of the first company out of Japan. So Japan is our lookup value, our lookup array is the country, and our return array is the company name. And what is cool when you have here, for example, this as selectable or as reference, the lookup value as a reference here, we could then use here or select here another company, for example, ExxonMobil, and you see the market value has adapted also here for Apple. So you see it here. So XLOOKUP, after a number, we want to look up for the first company with a market value smaller than 100 billion, I think it is. So lookup array is this, return array is the company name, and you see NA, there's an error, because we are currently searching for the concrete number of 100,000, and this market value is like very specific, so not that round. And therefore we need to use here the additional arguments here, and there you see the match mode. With the match mode, you have the exact match as a default option, but you can also use here, if you type in -1 or select it, exact match or next smaller item. And if you select this, -1, you have the Volkswagen Group who has a market value of less than 100 billion. You could also test this with 200 billion. This would be China Construction Group, I think. Yeah, kind of China Construction Bank. So, and to have like the position here column wise, you could look for Agricultural Bank of China in this company name. So first select the whole column, and then here it's the 9th column. So here, but if you want, for example, to have the rank, you can make this smaller, and then you see it's like on rank 8. If you don't have, for example, here a column with the ranks. And to show you why the XLOOKUP function is better than the VLOOKUP functions, if you want to search for the Toyota motor here, the VLOOKUP functions works quite the same. So for example, you have here Toyota motor at the lookup value, but then instead of an return array and a search array or lookup array, you need to select a table, and the value here will be searched in the first column of this table. So here we want to select here Toyota here, and then you need to hand out in an index of which columns should be the return column here. So here, for example, second column will be the country. So in this case, China. Why is Toyota Motor China? It should be Japan. So you see here the VLOOKUP functions isn't working as it should be. Here it isn't working. Why isn't it working? So yeah, here, because I now remember it. Because the problem also with the VLOOKUP functions is that the default value is an appropriate match and not the exact match. So you need to select here false to have the right value here. So you see, when I don't have false in, then it will hand out China, but you know Toyota is from Japan. So this is a major problem with the VLOOKUP function. And there's also a second problem. For example, here, this is a hard-coded value here, a hard-coded column number. But if I add here a column, then this here will adapt, but not the column index number. Huge problem. I need to go into the formula there and select it, but you saw here with the XMATCH, XLOOKUP functions, nothing happened. They stayed as they should be. So you saw the VLOOKUP function is old and outdated and should not be used anymore. So please use the XLOOKUP function. And to learn the XLOOKUP function, I have a huge exercise. Yeah, it's quite huge. I will link this formula in this exercise in the video description, and the next video will be a run through this exercise. Thank you for your attention. I hope you've learned something today.